Let me ask you something very honestly. Have you ever been in a moment where you really wanted to speak? Your mind was clear. Your answer was ready. Your thoughts were perfectly aligned. But the moment all eyes turned towards you, nothing came out the way you imagined. Your throat tightened. Your voice cracked. Your confidence disappeared in seconds. And suddenly, you're just standing there thinking, why can't I speak like a normal person? That was my reality. Not once. Not twice. But every single time I had to speak. And the worst part? I started believing this wasn't a phase. I started believing this was my personality. Quiet. Shy. Invisible. Until one ordinary moment changed everything. I was sitting in a college classroom during a group discussion. The teacher asked a simple question. Something so basic that anyone could answer it. And I knew the answer. I knew it perfectly. But I didn't speak. I just sat there, watching others answer. Watching my thoughts stay locked inside my head. And in that silence, something inside me broke. It wasn't that I didn't have ideas. It was that I didn't have the courage to express them. And that was the day everything began. Before we go deeper, welcome. If you're watching this and you've ever struggled to speak confidently, then listen carefully. Because this story is not just mine. It's yours too. Everything I went through. The fear. The silence. The overthinking. The embarrassment. You might be living it right now. And by the end of this video, you will understand something powerful. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Let's destroy a lie right now. Confidence is not speaking perfectly, having a loud voice, knowing impressive vocabulary, never feeling nervous. That's what people think confidence is. But real confidence is much simpler. It is this: being willing to speak even when your voice is shaking. And at that time in my life, my voice didn't just shake. It completely collapsed. But something inside me whispered, even if it shakes, speak anyway. And that single thought became the turning point of my life. Let me take you back properly. I wasn't just shy. I was mentally trapped. Every conversation felt like an exam. Before speaking, I would rehearse sentences again and again in my head. And even then, I wouldn't speak. I avoided eye contact because I thought people could see through me. If someone laughed nearby, I assumed it was because of me. If I made a small mistake, I would replay it for hours at night. It wasn't living. It was surviving inside my own mind. And slowly, people labeled me. Quiet girl. She doesn't talk much. She's very shy. And the dangerous part? I accepted it. I believed it. But deep down, I knew. This is not who I am supposed to be. Something inside me wanted more. Something inside me refused to stay silent forever. One evening, I came across a sentence that hit me harder than anything before. If you don't express yourself, the world will assume you have nothing to say. I stopped. Read it again. And again. Because suddenly I realized something painful. I wasn't invisible because I lacked thoughts. I was invisible because I never expressed them. That night, something shifted inside me. I made a decision. Not a small one. A life decision. I will train myself to speak confidently, no matter how long it takes. And that's where my real journey began. The first thing I did felt ridiculous. I started talking to myself in the mirror. At first, I couldn't even look into my own eyes. It felt uncomfortable. Embarrassing. Even pointless. I would stand there and say things like, "I will speak clearly today. My voice matters. I am not afraid anymore." And then I would stop, thinking it was silly. But I kept going. Day after day. Slowly, something changed. My voice started sounding familiar. And when your own voice becomes familiar, fear starts losing power. Because fear grows in unfamiliarity. And familiarity destroys fear. A few days later, I had to speak in a group discussion again. Same situation. Same fear. My heart was racing. My hands were cold. My throat felt tight. My mind said, "Don't speak, you'll mess up." But another voice appeared. "You said you would try." So I stood up. And I spoke. My voice shook badly. My words were not perfect. I stumbled once or twice. But something unexpected happened. Nobody laughed. Nobody judged. Nobody reacted the way I feared. And in that moment, I realized something life-changing. Most of the fear we feel doesn't exist in reality. It exists only in our imagination. This was a major turning point. Earlier, I believed every sentence had to be perfect. Every word had to be correct. Every pause had to be controlled. But perfection was killing me. So I changed one rule in my mind. I don't need to be perfect. I need to be understood. And that changed everything. I stopped freezing mid-sentence. I stopped restarting my thoughts. I started speaking naturally. Not perfectly, but freely. One day, someone said to me casually, "You speak differently now." I smiled, because they had no idea what that meant. I hadn't become a different person. I had just stopped hiding. And that's when I realized something powerful. Confidence doesn't create a new version of you. It reveals the real you. I started building small habits. Reading aloud for 10 minutes daily. Recording my voice and listening back. Practicing random topics alone. Speaking even when nobody was around. At first, it felt awkward hearing my own voice. I used to cringe. I used to stop immediately. But repetition changed everything. Because fear cannot survive repetition. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity creates control. And control creates confidence. There was one moment I'll never forget. I was speaking in a small group again. And mid-sentence, I made a mistake. Earlier, this would have destroyed me. I would have panicked. Stopped speaking. Overthought everything. But this time, I paused. Smiled. And continued. No embarrassment. No panic. No self-judgment. Just flow. And in that moment, I felt something I had never felt before. Freedom. The real battle was never outside. It was inside my head. Before, my thoughts were, what if I sound stupid? What if they judge me? What if I mess up? Now I replaced them. Even if I mess up, I will continue. My voice deserves space. I am allowed to speak. And slowly, my mind started believing it. Confidence doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in discomfort. So I pushed myself. I asked questions in class. I joined conversations. I spoke even when I wasn't ready. It was uncomfortable every single time. But every uncomfortable moment became training. And every mistake became progress. Here's the truth I discovered. Confidence is not a personality. It is a habit. A skill. A muscle. And like every muscle, it only grows when you use it. Not when you avoid it. This was my final shift. Earlier, I wanted everyone to like how I spoke. Now I focused on expressing myself clearly. I stopped thinking, do they like me? And started thinking, did I express myself properly? That one shift changed everything. My energy. My posture. My presence. Everything. One day, something strange happened. I was speaking. And suddenly I realized, I wasn't thinking anymore. No fear. No overthinking. No monitoring myself. Just flow. Just presence. Just speech. And that's when I understood. I had finally trained myself to speak confidently. If you're watching this and thinking, I can't speak confidently, let me tell you something honestly. You can. But not by waiting. Not by hoping. And not by avoiding fear. You become confident by speaking when it feels uncomfortable, making mistakes and continuing anyway, practicing daily, and refusing to stay silent. Because confidence is not found. It is built. One awkward sentence at a time. One brave moment at a time. One decision at a time. And maybe today, your journey starts with just one sentence. Say it. Even if your voice shakes.